you guys the lesson that I have today. So let me pull up my slides and let's see here. Oh, let's see. We got a lot of people popping in still. Okay, perfect. So who wants to type in the chat something that they are grateful for today? This is my week in Charleston, working in Charleston, and I'm super grateful that it is supposed to get like close to 70 today. And yes, Alex, the sun is shining. So I felt the same way this morning. I was like, oh, good, the sun's bright and it's supposed to be warm today, which is great. So definitely grateful for that. What else are you guys grateful for? You can type it in the chat. Maybe just one thing different today than another day. Friendships, Amy, yes. I hope all your new stuff is going great, by the way. Glad to see you on. Good, good, good. Oh, Ethan, that's awesome. You got a new house? I didn't know that. Awesome, cool. Great job. Great job. Monica, your husband being back at work. I love it. Too funny. Growth, Scott, love that. Amy, yes, you had a big, good week. Your kids, your daughter made nationals. She's a swimmer. She's like amazing. So that is super awesome, super awesome. Okay, so you can keep typing in the chat what you are grateful for. And today we're gonna talk about lions and ruts. So I know that both of those things sound funny together, but you'll understand why as we get through it. So I want to just start by saying, do you feel like, and be honest with yourself, last week I read something that said, answer your questions honestly, because it never does you any good to lie to yourself. And I thought, oh, that's so true. That's good. Are you dreaming big enough? Are you being courageous enough? And are you feeling yourself stuck in a rut? Raise your hand if you felt like last year kind of got you like in a little bit of a rut for a minute. There was a lot last year. Yeah, definitely. And I had a coach one time tell me, do everything you can to avoid getting in a rut because it's hard as heck to get out of a rut. And so today I want to share a couple things with you. So I would love, have any of you read this book? You can type it in the chat if you have. My friend Jen Davis, she is out of, where does Jen live? Like somewhere in Missouri. I can't remember. I'm totally blanking. Anyway, she sent me this book in the mail, and it is a faith-based book, but it's also a lot of other really great things. So I've been reading it and I'm obsessed with it. So I want to share with you a couple of things and read to you a couple of stories out of this. So the first thing in the book, it says, lion chasers don't run away, they run to the roar. Which I think is so good. They don't take flight, they fight to the death for their dreams. Yeah, Wendy, he has several other books too that are all really, really, really good. And everything so far that I've read from him or listened to him is amazing. So he says, you're one idea, one risk, one decision away from a totally different life. And I think that is promising. I love that. I love that quote. I love what he says. So a couple of things I wanted to share with you, and then I'm going to share two stories with you. He says, if you're looking for an excuse, you'll always find one. And if you're looking for an opportunity, you will always find one. So which one do you feel like you're mostly looking for? Lion chasers have an eye for opportunity. There are amazing opportunities around you all the time, but you have to see them to seize them. Some of you have heard me say many times before, one of my favorite quotes is by Albert Einstein. And he says, in the middle of difficulties lies opportunity. Not at the end, not at the beginning, not at the end, but in the middle. And so you really have to have an eye for opportunity because they're all around us. The best way to discover your dream is to help other people accomplish theirs. That is what the mighty men did. And in doing so, their lives surpassed their wildest dreams. And then one of my favorite things that is in the book is, if you don't have a dream, get around people who do, because you might just catch what they have, because dreams are highly contagious. And we have talked a lot before around the 5 people that you are around most and who your mentors are and your friends and your coaches and your business partners and all of those things, all of those people, because who you are around really truly matters. And I know most of us can think about people that we've been around that maybe they haven't lifted us up. Maybe they've actually taken us backwards, as opposed to people who actually move us forward. So if you don't have a dream, get around people who do, because you might catch theirs. Does anybody know who this is? You can type it in the chat if you know. I'm going to read you a little story about them. And let's see who was the first to get it right. Karen. Yep. Lisa. Yes. Lisa for the win with both of their first names, Orville and Wilbur. Right. So I want to read you a quick story out of the book about dreaming from them. In the summer of 1896, 25-year-old Orville Wright contracted typhoid fever. For several days, he was in a near-death delirium. It would be an entire month before he could sit up in bed, and several more weeks before he could actually even get out of bed and his feet touch the ground. And it may have been the best thing that ever happened to him. Orville's brother Wilbur had taken an intense interest in human flight, and with Orville bedridden, he had a captive audience. Wilbur actually read aloud to Orville, and that's how the Wright brothers crossed paths with their lion. Their dad, Bishop Milton Wright, had quite the library for the late 19th century. The bishop had a holy curiosity about all of life, but he had a particular fascination with the flight of birds, which explains the atypical title on his shelf, Animal Mechanism, was a book that he had. By the time Wilbur finished reading the book, he had discovered his destiny. The father's fascination with birds had become the brother's obsession. On May 30th, 1899, Wilbur wrote the most significant letter of his life, given the chain reaction to set it in motion. He addressed the letter, written on Wright Cycle Company stationery, to the Smithsonian Institute, informing them that he had begun a systematic study of human flight. He asked for everything written on the subject, which wasn't much, but they did send him one book by a French farmer poet, and he was a study of flight. Louis Pierre, not sure how to say his last name, was like a prophet crying in the wilderness. He had the unbelief in the possibility of human flight. He writes and says, a God-sized dream will always be beyond your ability, beyond your resources. Unless God does it, it cannot be done. But that's how he gets the glory. The Wright brothers had no education, no crowdfunding, and no friends in high places. All they had was a dream. But that's all it takes if it's coupled with tenacious, stick-to-it vision. Over and over again, the Wright brothers failed to fly, but they refused to give up. They learned from each and every failure until they defied gravity for 12 seconds at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina on December 17th, 1903. The impossible is temporary, he said. In the summer of 1896, human flight was science fiction. It's now our daily reality. At any given moment, on any given day, 5,000 airplanes carrying 1 million passengers are flying through the troposphere at 300 miles per hour. And it all started with a dream. It always does. Wilbur Wright repented of his unbelief in the possibility of human flight, and the rest is history. So one, I love that story. I'm a big firm believer in stories. And a couple of things from this, they were a dream within a dream. And the lesson around them was all they had was a dream. They didn't have anything else. They just had their dream. And I absolutely love that, because that's mindset. That is what mindset is. And they had it. They didn't let anybody steer them differently or do anything differently. The next story I want to read you, does anybody know who this is? I actually did not know who this was. So I'll tell you, this is Paul Tudor Jones, and he is a Wall Street legend. And so I want to read you this quick story too. The founder of Tudor Investment Corporation made his mark on Black Monday, October 19th, 1987. It still ranks as the largest one-day percentage drop of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Yet Jones managed to triple his investment value by shortening his portfolio that day. And he's no one-hit wonder. He has defied financial gravity ever since, earning positive returns for 28 consecutive years. As a contrarian, he looks for opportunities where others see red flags. When investors bail out on a bear market, he goes bear hunting, and he's not afraid of grabbing a bull market by the horns and taking a wild ride. He lives by a few market maxims: always have a mental stop, never average losers, and let go of mistakes you made 3 seconds ago. But his investment philosophy is epitomized by one guiding principle: stay in the game for as long as you possibly can. Few people play the investment game better than Jones, but becoming a billionaire wasn't the 500-pound lion he was chasing. He actually set his sights much higher than that. In 1986, he adopted a sixth grade class at an underperforming public school in New York City. Despite his guaranteeing a college scholarship to every single high school graduate, only 1/3 of those kids got their high school diplomas. He admittedly had underestimated the environmental challenges that inner city kids actually face, but that failure fueled his passion to fight poverty. Instead of giving up the fight, he actually started the Robin Hood Foundation. Since he started that in 1998, he's channeled $1.45 billion to the cause that he cares so deeply about. It's also inspired other venture philanthropists. Fortune magazine called the Robin Hood Foundation one of the most innovative and influential philanthropic organizations of all time. Paul Tudor Jones is as competitive as they come, evidenced by the welterweight box championship he won in his 20s. He's a fighter, but like the warrior poet David, he has another side to his personality. The driving engine of his life all happened from one act of kindness. When he was a child, he was at an outdoor vegetable market with his mother one day, and he got lost for like several hours. He says, when you're 4 years old, your mother is everything. And this extraordinary, kind, very old, very tall Black man came over and said, don't worry, it's going to be okay. We're going to find your mom. Don't cry. We're going to find her, and you're going to be happy in 1 minute. Just trust me. He said, you never forget stuff like that. God's every action, those little actions became so much bigger, and then they became multiplicative. We forget how important the smallest action can be. He said, for me, I think it kind of spawned a lifetime of trying to always repay that kindness from that man who helped him find his mom. He said, what was the name of the very old, very tall Black man? I have no idea. I never actually found him. He's probably been dead for quite some time, but that one act of kindness inspired a lifetime of philanthropy. Paul Tudor Jones may have founded the Robin Hood Foundation, but it was a complete stranger who provided the inspiration. Every grant the foundation gives is a gift within a gift, and it was one encounter. And I thought that was such a good story. He is known, and this is what they call the ripple effect with him, because it was one encounter that led to another encounter that led to another encounter. And so the lesson in this is it's just one encounter. So you may not see yourself as a dreamer, but you are one. You have dreams that you aren't even aware of, dreams that you haven't even thought of as dreams. And I took this little italics part out of the book because I just think it's so good. He said, what do you need to do to make your dream happen? Maybe it's taking the first step of faith or burning some bridges behind you. After all, you can't steal second base if you keep your foot on first. I love that. One of my favorite quotes from the book. Maybe it's taking, he calls responsibility responsibility for something that has handicapped you for far too long. The one thing I'm certain of is this: it'll take some big chasing lions courage to be able to do these. He says, inciting incidents come in lots of sizes, shapes, and colors. Some are as bold and brash as chasing a lion, which is it's from 2 Samuel in the Bible. Others are as subtle and gentle as the act of kindness that influenced Paul Tudor Jones. But either way, never underestimate the power of one act of kindness, one act of courage, and one act of generosity. And I just thought that is so mindset. That maybe you guys can even think of something that's happened that was just one small random act of kindness, but it completely changed the trajectory of something, or it set you up for something. So I love that. And I also want to share with you this. Sometimes when you're stuck in a rut, or when you're feeling kind of down, for lack of better words, it's really hard to think about your dreams, or it's really hard to say, okay, I'm going to go chase those lions. Or I'm going to make all these different positive changes, because you're in a rut and you're like, dang, I can't get out of this rut to even be able to have a positive mindset to move forward and do that. So I am going to share with you guys, and we're going to post this in the Facebook group. I don't know if any of you know Ben Kinney. If you do, or you've ever learned from him, you can type it in the chat, but I'm obsessed with this, and I actually am busting this back out today. So Ben has a podcast called Win, Make, Give. It's one of my favorite podcasts, and actually a recent episode that he did, they download a certain monetary amount, I'm not sure what it is, to a charity for every episode, and they picked one of my favorite charities for their last episode. So I was pumped to be able to have them donate to that. But this is what he calls his 15-point plan for health and happiness. So I'm going to show you two different things. One, here's the plan, and then two, here's a tracker for all you high SC type people. And you can be able to start to track this every single day. But here's what he says. If you're in a rut, do you fall victim to being stressed out and less productive than you'd like to be? And probably the answer is yes. So he says, here's what, and there is a podcast on this in season 1. You can go and find I think it's actually called the 15-point plan episode, and he walks you through it. But you track your total points for each day. And one of the things that he says is if you do this for 30 days, you will literally be able to control how you think, how you act, and it'll change your mindset, which can completely pull you out of a rut. Ben shared with me that by the time he gets to like 0.7 or 8, he's usually already out of the rut. He doesn't even usually have to make it all the way through the 15. But here's what they are. The first one is the first point plan to get you out of a rut is your goals. Write them and rewrite them often. Create a vision board, which I know like over 100 of you have done my vision board. What do we call that, Heather? My vision board thingy-majig. I don't know what we call it. Exercise. Exercise. Actually, Heather, would you care to post it in the chat, pretty please, the link for it? If you haven't done it, you should do it. And I love seeing your alls. I see them. Actually, I pray for them. I pray over you guys when I see them. But so the first one is goals. Create a vision board. Know them so you can achieve them. The second thing to get out of a rut is movement. Elevate your heart rate every day to create endorphins. I know some of you are really, really great at this. I don't know if Abby Osborne is on, but she's like one of my favorite. She inspires me because she like moves every single morning. Monica, yes, I see you shaking your head. Oopsie, hold on. Click happy. And honestly, I'm so like kind of, and thank you, Heather. There's the link if you guys want to go check on that. For me, don't judge, but that's like the last thing. That's like the first thing to go for me is typically exercise. So I'm intending to get better. I'm not like terrible, but I'm not great. So elevate your heart rate every day to create endorphins. Not able to do that today, at least get your steps in to keep your body moving. Hydration is the third. Okay, that I nail. I've got that down. I drink 4 of these a day. So I'm like, I nail the water part. So I've definitely got that. But your bodies are mostly water, and we need more water than you think. So make sure each day you're reaching your hydration goals. Sleep. This is another area of opportunity for me. It's one of the most important building blocks to great health and high energy levels. Get your daily required amount of sleep. Nutrition. Not eating well makes you grumpy and actually lowers your energy reserves. So eat healthy, eat often to keep your levels high. Supplements, take your vitamins and minerals. The last year, I think I've taken more elderberry than like there even is possible. Amazon shows up like every week with my elderberry. So I've gotten back into supplements. Influences. Here's a big one. Be mindful of what you pay attention to. Get rid of negativity in your life, including the news, movies, or people if necessary. We joke about this a lot, that I live under a rock. I still haven't seen the Harry, Meghan, Oprah thing. Like I didn't even know it existed until yesterday. I don't know if you guys have watched that, but I tend to live a little bit under a rock, and that's purposeful. And also that was really the reason why I actually started to do that. Heather, Dawn's not on Facebook. I know that's what actually, I can post these in the chat. Yes. Let me go find the file and I'll post them. For those of you that aren't on Facebook, that was one of the reasons why I think this is week 46 or 45 that I started to do this every Wednesday morning, because I feel like we just need more positivity. There's so much dang negativity out there. The next one is journal. Make a habit of writing down what happened, your thoughts, things you learned every morning or every night. Mindfulness. Make time for daily purposeful meditation or prayer to center yourself mentally and spiritually. Gratitude. You can't be grateful and angry at the same time. One of my favorite quotes. Practice gratitude daily on your own, as a family, or in a group when possible. Laugh. Set a timer for 30 seconds and just laugh for no reason, or watch comedy. It changes your entire energy, mood, or state. And he also says to try this before you have to do something really like serious or stressful or hard. So learning, make a goal of learning something new every day, read books, listen to podcasts, audiobooks, watch videos, or take courses. I know so many of you guys are actually like really, really, really great at that. Hobbies, find something you can look forward to. One of our hobbies is going on the boat, and I cannot wait to be able to have weather because that is like a good weather to do it. Serve, volunteer, donate, help an organization or a friend in need. I do a lot of like little behind the scenes giving things, but I did put on my vision board to like do a full service project at least 2 times this year. Because how many of you have ever gone and done something and served and you actually feel better than probably the people that you served when you left? Happens every time. And then time, protect some daily alone time and create daily social time to raise those energy levels, no matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert. I will say, you guys, I believe COVID has gotten us into more of like a solitude, and we're not around people as much. I know we're kind of slowly getting back into the groove now, but it's important. It's definitely important. So remember, Ben Kinney always says, winners focus on what they can control. And the great news is all of these 15 things you can control. You can control every single one of them. And so if you actually focus on all of the things that you can control, then you already set yourself up for a great mindset, number one. Number two, you're focusing on accomplishing and winning and doing the things that you want. And number three, think about how much better your quality of life is. And lastly, and most importantly, to put a bow on this whole thing, when you're doing these things, you're not in a rut, or at least you're avoiding getting in a rut. And if you do get in one, you're not staying in one for very long. So here is what the tracker looks like. And so at the top, it's your 30 days, and then on the side, and what he wants you to do is actually just rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how you felt that day for each one. And then you're going to track your points. He says, you'll notice that the lower the score, the lower your natural energy will be. And the higher the score, the more productive that you will be with higher levels of energy. So I'll post those in the chat, but I want to end with one of the quotes from the Chase the Lion book, which is, we start dying the day we stop dreaming. And ironically, we start living the day that we discover a dream worth dying for. So I want you guys to think about that, and think about how often you are dreaming. Think about, hold on, I'm going to post this in the chat for you guys. Well, maybe, hold on. Oh, yep. Let me find it really quickly. Think about your energy levels. Think about how, oh, wait, did Heather already find it? Oh, there you go. You're on it. Thank you. Perfect. There you go. It's in the chat for those of you that want the PDF. We'll also put it in the closed Facebook group. I plan to print mine this morning. Oh my gosh. I see Liz's son. Oh, he's so cute. I see that Passy. You look like Graham. Okay, you guys, have a great rest of your week. Thanks for being on. And I hope that this gave you a little bit of positivity for your day. So see you next Wednesday. Invite a friend. Thanks. See you guys. Bye, Jamie. I see you in the car. See you.